Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and today I have the first episode of a new series I'm starting called My Favorite Soundtracks. So today's episode is going to be the decline of the Western civilization, part 2, the metal years. Now I've pretty much talked about this briefly in other videos. I think I've used it in different contest entries, but I wanted to kind of talk about it a little more in depth for this series. Before I start, I have to say this line. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more, and I upload pretty much one video per day. So this was a movie. It was a documentary. Came out in 1988, and it was directed by Penelope Spheeris. The documentary was about the Los Angeles metal scene. So I did watch this a while ago. I think you can probably watch it on YouTube, and depending on where you live, you can probably stream it in some way or another. And it's a really interesting movie. It just talks about the entire metal scene, the Los Angeles scene in the late 80s. A lot of hair metal, but they talk about thrash metal and different bands. So this is the sequel. The first movie was about punk rock, and that one I've never actually seen at all. This one I have seen. I remember renting it years ago. And there are a lot of famous musicians in it. So it had Lemmy, Ozzy, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Kiss, Megadeth, and WASP. Now the most popular scene was the scene with Chris Holmes. He's in a pool, completely drunk, and he's like with his mom. Like, I just watched this on YouTube. If you want, I'll show a quick little clip of it.
Drink very much?
Yes, I do. I'm a full-blown alcoholic.
Just when he's awake.
I drink too much.
Here. Okay. Why do you drink that much?
Because I enjoy it.
So basically, this scene, it's very hard to watch. Now, me personally, I'm not a big alcohol drinker. You know, I'll have one beer or I'll have 2 beers and then I'm done. You know, in my opinion, I think alcohol is the worst drug, you know, only because it's legal and it's socially acceptable. And there are certain situations where it's just readily available, and it's just a whole different story when it comes to intoxicating substances, when it comes to alcohol. And this really shows the darkest side of alcohol, and for me it just kind of bothers me to watch it, but that's just my personal opinion. But anyway, there were lots of great scenes, you know, I think Gene Simmons was in this, and you know, Alice Cooper, and there lots of really great scenes. So let's talk about the songs. Okay, here's the CD booklet. I'm gonna open this. I'll go through it pretty quickly. It's pretty cool photos right there, and there are the songs. I will talk about them one by one in a minute. Again, it has some pretty cool songs, and there it is, some liner notes and some more band photos. Again, there's a list of the songs, and here's the CD. I've had the CD pretty much since it came out, I guess in 1988. The first song is Under My Wheels. This is by Alice Cooper with members of Guns N' Roses. And I think this was the song that really made me buy this album. I just was in the record store, and that's why I grabbed it and I wanted to buy it. I think it was because I was such a big Alice Cooper fan and such a big Guns N' Roses fan, and this was the best of both worlds for me. So I really like this song, and it is pretty cool. You know, cover version of this song. It's Alice singing with Guns N' Roses playing. So it is a pretty cool update of this song. Now the next song is called The Bathroom Wall by Faster Pussycat. So this song is from their 1987 self-titled debut. Now Faster Pussycat was a hair metal band. I never really bought any of their albums afterwards. It wasn't one of those bands that I wasn't really attracted to them. I did like a few of their songs. They had one cool power ballad called House of Pain. That was a really cool ballad, a cool music video. I like that one a lot. But again, the band Faster Pussycat really wasn't one of those bands that I really always went out to buy their albums or anything. The next song is Cradle to the Grave by Motorhead, and this is another band that I never owned a complete Motorhead album. I've kind of like started listening to them, you know, when streaming services became available. And I've listened to many of their albums, not all of them, and I do enjoy them. But I've known about them, you know, since I was a teenager. You know, I used to watch their music video for the Ace of Spades. They used to come on Headbangers Ball all the time, and they played it like every Saturday night, pretty much. But for some reason, like Motorhead, I never got into them. But you know, they are a great band. You know, I mean, I'll have to start to collecting their albums, but it is one of those bands that I never really purchased anything from. The next song is called "You Can Run, But You Can't Hide" by Armored Saint. And this song is, I think, exclusive from this soundtrack. Now, Armored Saint is another band. I never really got into them till like later on in life. I think when John Bush joined Anthrax in the early 90s, I never even like made the connection that it was the same person. Like on this album and Anthrax, I just, for some reason, I didn't. But Armored Saint is another great band that I really like started to listen to later in life, you know, like when streaming was available. But I was a really big fan of the John Bush era Anthrax. You know, Sound of White Noise is one of my top Anthrax albums. But this is a really good song. You know, it shows like the early side of Armored Saint. They are just straightforward heavy metal. Next song, Born to Be Wild, Lizzy Borden. This is a live performance. I think this is kind of I think it's the kind of a cover song that like everyone does. It's just a Steppenwolf song, and you know, people say this is like the first metal song, and you know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but this one's okay. The next song, In My Darkest Hour by Megadeth. This was from So Far So Good So What. You know, I was a really big Megadeth fan. I think this is their first ballad. I really like this song a lot. You know, it's a really like dark, emotional song, and you know, this is probably like one of my favorite or one of my top 10 Megadeth songs of all time. Probably another reason why I bought this album. The next song, Prophecy by Queensryche. And this song was also on The Warning from 1984. You know, I was a big Queensryche fan, but I really like their early stuff. This is like from their, I think that they had an EP, and then this album, this was like their full-length debut, I guess. I'm talking about The Warning now. And Prophecy, really just great song, kind of shows their early side when they were just like straightforward heavy metal, just kind of before they got into that like proggy metal. Next song, The Brave by Metal Church. This is another exclusive from this soundtrack. This shows the early side of Metal Church with The Brave. I believe it's with their first vocalist. I got into Metal Church later with that album that had Badlands on it. I forgot the name of that again, but it came out in like 1988. Somebody can put it in the comments, or I'll put it in the subtitle. Yeah, so I was into Metal Church kind of like from their like 1988 album. So that was a really good one. There are two more songs. Rigor Mortis, Foaming at the Mouth. So the band Rigor Mortis, I guess they were like a thrash band. They kind of sound more like death metal to me a little bit. This was a song I never really was into. I wasn't into death metal back when I bought this album. You know, I got into death metal later on in life. But this song didn't really catch my attention that much. And the last song is called Seduce by, actually the band is called Seduce and the song is called Colleen. This is just one of those LA heavy metal bands that they were kind of hair metal or straightforward metal, and one of those bands that just basically like never made it. You know, they had one song on this soundtrack, but they didn't really go anywhere from there. And this is an okay band, but it's not one of those songs that I really memorized. Wasn't really a memorable song for me. So let me know if you have seen this movie and you have watched this, or do you have the soundtrack. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Coming up next, I will be doing some more soundtracks. Probably do another one next week. I do have some more anniversaries coming up this week, and there are some pretty cool new releases coming up during the weekend. So thanks for watching. Check out the in-video links over there, and I will see you in the next one.